Boy.
Yeah, we breaking silence on the Lord, oh. So why you think we out here on the Lord for? Yeah, I'm coming through, I'm coming through. Coming through, I'm coming through. Yeah, I wear the truth like a logo. So why you think I'm out here on my dolo? Yeah, I'm coming through, I'm coming through. Coming through, I'm coming through.
Yo, once again, it's the We Break Silent Show. E.charlez, Pamela Rosario, Cash Walk, and Vanya.
Yes.
Pam is in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, enjoy yourself, girl.
Pam, make sure you bring me something. Bring me that plátano, that mango.
Mango. From the island.
I know, right? Anyways, we have a special guest in the building.
Yes.
My brother.
Yes.
Michael Arterberry, y'all.
What's up? What's going on? All right.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, no problem.
I appreciate it. First question. When you gonna let me borrow that bike?
Oh,
you got that little three-wheeler bike. I be peeping that.
I was gonna say, I always see you riding around town that thing. Nah. Anytime you want to ride it. Anytime you want to ride it. You know, I just busted out last week. I cleaned it up and got it ready. Yeah.
How long you had it for now? Like a couple years, right?
About 4 years.
Wow.
About 4 years, yeah.
What
do you got to get that thing registered and everything?
Yeah, I was going to ask
that. You register it just like a motorcycle. Oh, okay. I was making sure. I was like, wait, is that like, because they got scooters and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them you don't have to register. How fast does it go? Oh, it moves.
Oh, nice.
It gets up there. Yeah. It can do the job. It can
That's
do the
awesome.
job.
Yeah.
Michael ain't trying to get a ticket, so you're not gonna tell us how fast you going.
It
allegedly I go 80 miles per hour.
Right? 0 to 60
so
in 10 seconds.
Oh my gosh. So before we get into just all your endeavors and the things that you're doing up to, give the listeners just a little bit of background on who you are, where you're from, and
well, I was born and raised in New Rochelle. You know, I was if you allow me to brag a little bit.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I was an elite athlete. I lettered in basketball, baseball, football, and soccer from the age of 8. You know, I lettered when I got to high school, but I played those 4 sports from the age of 8 until I graduated high school. Actually, when I graduated high school, I could have gone to college to play any of the 4, but I chose football, which was my favorite. You know, sports was something that I did. You know, a lot of craziness going on in my home, and so my mother, you know, you were talking about the Caribbean parents, rather than taking me to counseling, she put me on the field. You know, and what I was able to do is to take some of the energy, the negative energy going on in my home, and I was able to transform that into my athletic ability, and you know, I took that, and you know, I ended up going to Iona College, where I graduated from, and I played football there.
Was your goal to go pro at that time? Yes.
You know, I didn't like school. And the reason I ended up at Iona College is because I didn't like to go to class. So Iona College was a Division III school. I had the athletic ability to go Division I, but I didn't have the grades to go Division I. You know, but a year or so after I graduated, I actually was approached by an agent at the gym while I was working out, and I got my opportunity to try out for professional football. I didn't get anything from teams from the NFL, but I got some prospects from some teams at the time. They had a football league over in England where they would take 4 Americans in skill positions, and then the rest of the team would be whatever the countrymen were. And you know, I thought about it, but they didn't pay you. They paid you a minimal salary. Right. You were there for 7 months, so the thrill was to go there and kind of vacation. But once I got out of school and I got my degree, it was time for me to get serious.
Right.
I hear that.
Totally makes sense.
Yes.
It's all fun and games, but then they gotta get serious.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into what you're doing now.
Okay.
Give us a little idea. We know that you are you created the Youth Voices Center.
Yes.
Or started the Youth Voices Center.
Yes.
So what is that all about? Fill us in on what that is.
Well, like I said, I went to school to be a social worker, and they would give me curriculums to work with the young people, and the curriculums were terrible. They, you know, and then when they weren't successful, they would come back to me and say, well, why didn't it work? You know, and so one day I'm sitting in my office and I said, you know what, I'm going to create my own. And so I created a curriculum that I call Power of Peace. And when I first got it, I shopped it, and I tried to start the nonprofit on my own, but it wasn't very successful. So I went to the nonprofit that I was working with, and I said, listen, I'll do this for you, but you're going to have to pay me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I started to do my program under the nonprofit's umbrella, and it started to get successful. And then one day my boss made the mistake of showing me the funding streams that were coming in. And so I was getting
Wow.
I was getting a salary, but the money that was coming in for the program was crazy. So you know, one day, you know, she told me this, she showed me this, so now the light bulb went off, and she took me to a lunch to meet a philanthropist. And so we get to the lunch, and I'm at the lunch, and it's a woman, you know, she's very wealthy. She's there with her lawyer. I'm there with my executive director and the guy that writes our grants. Wow. And I had cheat notes. I had on the piece of paper, I had cheat notes, the accolades of my program. And everybody went at the table, and so my executive director turned to me and she says, you know, your turn, you know. So I had the cheat notes underneath the table, and I crumbled them up, and I dropped them on the floor, and I said to the woman, you don't have to worry about your money because, you know, I'm Christian, you know what I'm saying? It's all about God.
Yes.
And when I said that, my executive director, who's Caucasian, turned red. Wow. And I was like, oh man. So I'm looking at her, and then the grant guy turns red, and then the lawyer of the woman, he's cracking up. So I'm like looking at the kitchen, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm going home, I'm gonna get my pink slip, this is over. I stepped out on faith, and I'm about to get spanked. And once like the silence cleared, the lawyer finished laughing, and he said to me, I just want you to know her name was Pat, that Pat's a devoted Christian.
Wow.
And so when I dropped that, you know,
that was like the hammer right there. That like closed it.
Yeah. So what happened is once I dropped that, she wanted to have like breakfast with me, just to fellowship, and she had no idea that the program was mine. So I would go to the breakfast, and we would, you know, talk and fellowship, no business, but just talk about God. And one day I said to myself, I'm gonna tell her that it's mine and see what she says. So I called her up, and I'm like, listen, you know, would you give me the money if I left? And so again, she didn't follow me, so she said, I'll give you half, because she thought it was a program for the agency. So she said, you know, I'll let them keep half, you take half and go, so everyone will be happy. And when she said that, I said, no, I don't want half, I wanted all of it. So I said, don't tell them that I told you. I'll just stay put, you know what I mean? And before the next breakfast, she did her own research, and before I could put my butt in the chair, she says, I'll give it to you, all of it to you.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, she gave me the money to, but actually just a little bit to that story, she would bring famous people to our breakfast. At the time, she was friends with a guy who ran a Christian record label. I forgot the name of it, but he was there. And when she offered me the money, I panicked. And I was like, nah, I don't really want it.
Because that's heavy weight right there.
Yeah, it is, you know. So when she said that, the executive of the record label looked at me and said, what would you tell your kids? And when he said that, I was like, wow, you know. So I came out of that. I went, and I was able to establish Youth Voices Center. So the program, it's the nonprofit, but Power of Peace is the program that's comes out of Youth Voices Center.
Nice.
Yeah.
So going back to the curriculum that you felt there was something off, what about it did you feel like wasn't working?
Well, I think that a lot of people that create curriculums are people, no disrespect, but you have people that they almost do it like in a laboratory. You know, you have people that are educated and they're intellectual, but, you know, I talked about the craziness in my home, and so what was beautiful about me is I took my social work degree and I mixed it with the streets, and I created a curriculum that speaks to the youth.
Nice.
So what's different about my curriculum is I'm not a guy writing a curriculum that read books on how to interact with young people. I'm writing a curriculum of the different struggles that that I was able to overcome. So my curriculum speaks to the young person, you know, where they actually are.
Right.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really cool.
So how long the Power of Peace has been up and running for now?
You know, I've been doing it since, I think we given an official date about 2008.
Oh, nice.
Oh, so you guys have been around.
Yeah, been around, you know. But I'll tell you this, though, the nonprofit world is crazy. When I had the philanthropist, you know, and I'll keep it real, I mean, she gave me $200,000 a year.
Wow.
So I was able to actually go out and meet with schools, and if I felt like you were serious, I wouldn't tell you before the interview, but once the interview was over, if I felt you were serious, I would tell them at the end, the principal, I'd be like, listen, I'll bring it to you for free.
Yeah.
But she died 4 years ago.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's sad.
You know, and so because, again, a man of God, I didn't charge people when I had her money. So when she passed away, you know, I had a little something, you know, saved up, but, you know, it was rough. So it's been rough. It's been rough, you know, with grants.
Correct.
You know, really, if the most optimum thing would be is to find another angel like her.
Correct.
But, you know, I believe, you know, I study and I worship, and I believe that God will sometimes keep you in the famine, but every time you reach back, you know, you'll get it. So anytime, he doesn't dry it up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not dried up, and I know that when it comes to a point where he doesn't want me to do it anymore, he'll make sure that he takes the provisions away, and he hasn't done that at this point.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Follow-up question to that. So you've been doing it for almost like 10 years now.
Right.
Have you faced any challenges, like say you work with a young student and they don't want to listen and they're like, this is too much for me, I don't want to open up to this program, this and that. Have you faced
People,
any type of those?
resisting the program?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's all interactive, and it's for 2 full days. So you got to imagine, I come in, and what I ask for when I go into a school is a cross section. So what I want the group is 25 kids. I do everything in a circle.
Okay.
And I want the group to be made up of everything that's in that school student body. And I open up the workshop with a picture of the house that I grew up in. Now, again, keeping it real, you know, my mother was a hardworking woman. But you know, we didn't have much.
Came from humble beginnings.
We did.
Yes.
And you know, the house that I showed, the picture that I showed, you know, there's a few boards on the window.
You know what? I read your book when you dropped it, and I seen the house. Yes.
That's so the picture that you see in the book, people will look at it and think that the house is condemned, but it wasn't.
Wow.
Oh, you
So
living in it.
I was living in it,
Wow.
you know.
Wow.
So I showed them that picture, and I talked to them a little bit about growing up. And then I showed them the picture of the raised ranch that I live in now in New Fairfield. So what I do is I call it, I expose myself first before I even ask them any questions about themselves. So a majority of the time, I disarm them immediately.
Nice.
So
That's
the
good.
resistance, I don't really get resistance. The only time I really get resistance is
That's how you get respect, is doing something like that. Like, look, I don't know what you're going through right now, but this is where I started and this is where I am. There you go.
You know what
You
I'm
could either
saying?
believe in this program or not.
Yeah,
You know, but I'm telling you, it works because I lived it.
Right.
You know?
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're really speaking to them. That I feel like that's the way you get respect. You know, from the kids.
Yeah.
Show them that you've been through it. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So you know, it's not something coming from a book. And then what I do is, as we go through the process, I divulge the different struggles that I had. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I speak to them on a level. I think a lot of people, when they deal with young people, you know, what I really do is when I walk into a room, I quiet my spirit and allow the Holy Spirit to take over.
Nice.
Okay.
That's the most important thing.
So that's my gift, and my gift is to be able to listen between the lines. So when you're speaking, I'm able to shut it off, so I'm not trying to cut you off. Everything you say, I hear it. So by the 2-day period, once they start piecing their story together, I'm piecing it along with them, and so I start dropping jewels on them as we go through the process.
Right.
So it almost makes them feel like I'm reading their mind, but you know, I create an essence of comfort, and so the kids, you know, they really buy into it.
That's good.
You know?
That's good.
That's awesome.
Can I ask kind of like a general question, since
go
we're
ahead.
on the topic of like education and curriculums and stuff? how do you feel? Like, why do you feel? I'll keep it in high school. Like, let's say like a high schooler or even middle schoolers.
Right.
How do you feel about the current curriculum? And like, do you feel like it's really preparing these kids for life?
Well, you know, I'll tell you this much. And any teachers listening, they're gonna probably bang me in the head over this.
Oh man,
we got you. We here to protect you. We got you.
Break the silence, brother. Break the silence.
What I think that happens now is education is very important, but you have a lot of sick kids walking through these buildings.
Yes.
And so,
hold on, I have to drop a bomb.
Yeah, I told you. I
gotta drop a bomb.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So there's an emphasis on the education and the curriculum piece. But, you know, I got haters in some of the schools I go into that are teachers because I pull the kids out of class for 2 days.
Right.
So they pulling them out of the class for the 2 days, they feel as if I'm taking from their education.
Right.
But they got to understand that if the kid, their head's not right, they can't learn.
They're not gonna learn.
You know what I'm saying?
I
You
hear
know,
that.
if you don't know where you're gonna sleep tonight,
Or how you gonna eat?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you know what's going on with your parents, or like
Yeah.
And a lot of these teachers, they're coming from different communities.
Exactly.
They never experienced this. They
Exactly,
never
right.
went through this stuff, so they don't know. They're just like, oh, you're missing school. They're not looking at it as like, yeah, he's missing school, but this kid has a real world situations going on when he leaves this building.
And you know what I do though is I require in each one of my groups that I have a minimum of 2 teachers.
Okay.
So what I like about that is that they come into the group and they see the kids from a student perspective. But once that workshop is over, because I'm telling you, we go in. We go in. The workshops are really deep, and the teachers get a better perspective on the students because they hear the stories.
Right.
You know, I'll never forget one of my activities that I do is that when we close out on the second day, a student brings in an item that means a lot to him. So I'm looking and I'm seeing what all of the kids brought. So, you know, we're going around a circle and we're sharing, and we get to a girl and she like showed a picture, and then she started to explain that her father had called her the night before to tell her why he wished he aborted her.
Wow.
Like, this is what she was sharing. So she's walking us through this, right? So she's walking us through this. Now I'm looking at the teacher that's 3 people from her. He's gonna go after. He's got a picture of his family on his lap.
Oh man.
White picket fence, silver spoon.
Yeah.
And this man is crying like a baby.
Wow.
Because he's seeing like, wow, I'm about to show my family.
Yeah.
But this girl's father just called and was like, yo, listen, I didn't even want you to be born.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you send them back into the trenches, I send them back sensitized to the fact that when you stand up in front of that classroom, it's just not people. It's just not students. You got young people that could be coming from different places.
Right.
And so, you know what I'm saying?
That's the real challenge for teachers. Like, this is why we got to pay our teachers more. Because don't you feel like that? Because it's more than just open your books to page whatever and read this aloud, or get in groups of 4 and read this. You gotta. These kids are going through it. There's very real situations going on, and in order for them to really tap into that, it takes going this deep sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
And on their current salaries, they can't take it that deep.
Yeah. Well, not only they can't take it that deep. I have to say this again. You know, you're gonna have to protect me, but
we got you. We got you.
Some teachers, if they're still trying to teach the young people the same way they did 10 years ago.
Right, and it's a different world.
The kid today is not the kid from 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, they're banging their head against the wall because they're not feeling like they're getting through, because you have to change your strategy.
You gotta adapt,
And if
you gotta adapt.
And if you're not willing to adapt, which some are not willing, you gotta get out.
Yeah.
And I do staff development trainings, and I'll do my program with the teachers. And really what it is my program is built. Can I tell a quick story?
Go ahead, man.
All right, check it out. When I start my workshops, I start with telling them a story. Now, I show them the house, and I tell them a story about a farmer and a donkey. All right, and the donkey was his favorite donkey, because the donkey not only worked the field, but he would bring the donkey back home to play with his kids.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So he was more like a pet. And one day the donkey wandered on his farm and he fell into an empty water well. Now when he fell into the empty water well, he went missing. So the farmer was searching around the farm trying to find him. He's making donkey noises, and finally they unite and they see each other. So the farmer wants to pull him out of the well, so he gets 6 of his buddies. They come over to the well and they're trying to figure out how to get him out. So they decide they're gonna pull him out with some rope. So they all get some rope, they start throwing it into the well. They keep missing. Finally they get one around his legs and they all start pulling. They start pulling, they start pulling. He's coming up the well. When he gets halfway up, they realize that he's too heavy. So they lower him back to the bottom of the well. So now the farmer has to make a grim decision. Now he can't feed him food from his family to a donkey at the bottom of the well. He can't starve him, because if he starves him, you know, I just told you he's like a pet. Then he had his hot-headed friend was like, yo, just shoot him. And he's like, nah, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You know, so the guy, one of his friends had balance. He says, you know what, you got to fill the hole so that your kids don't fall in. So they all got shovels and they started shoveling dirt. So they're shoveling dirt in the well, the donkey screaming, shoveling dirt, donkey screaming. All of a sudden the scream stopped. They keep shoveling, and the next thing you know, you see the donkey's ear. They keep shoveling, next thing you know, you see half his body. They keep shoveling, and that donkey walks that he fell into.
Wow.
Now check this out. Every time that dirt came over the wall, it fell on the donkey's back. He shook it off and he stepped on it. He took every scoop of dirt.
Another bomb.
Yeah, he took every scoop of dirt that was meant to kill him to save his life.
Wow.
That right there is what I teach the young people.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff. Because I had to be so honest. I didn't know where you were going with that. And then when you said it, you shake it off. And then when you started talking about how you could see the donkey coming, I was like, oh, he's raising up. He's just standing on the dirt that they're throwing on him.
Yeah, he shook it off and he stepped on it. And so showing them the picture of my house is an illustration of the fact that things went on in my life. But what I did is I took dirt on you, and I shook it off and I stepped on it. And so what I do is, during the process of going through the program, and I say this when we were talking about teachers because I use it the same way with the teachers, is I want people to look at their lives, look at the things that they're going through, and rather than using the things that they're going through as obstacles, you want to use it as a catalyst to make you survive. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
You know, that's the pure concept of what I do. You know what I'm saying? And not only do I have the nonprofit, I'm also a motivational speaker.
Yes.
And that is part of what my talks are about. Is I feel as if not only are people deficient and shaking their dirt, I feel that a lot of people are not living in their purpose. You know, I feel like I read a book by Brooke Wilkinson called The Gift Giver. And it talked about the fact that when we were born, God put in us something that he wanted us to be.
Yes.
But a lot of times as we grow up, people bully us and make us decide to go a different route. You know what I'm saying? So you walk around with this urge to be something, but you don't want to go after it because if you go after it, you know, people will tell you, oh, you shouldn't do that, you're not going to make enough money. But I realize that when people are not living in their purpose, they use other things to satisfy themselves and they start to live empty, you know? And I think one of the saddest things is to meet an adult, again, because it's part of my gift, is to meet an adult and know that they're lost. You know, so part of my talks also with the motivational speaking is I like to be able to kind of get into people's heads and really get them to a place to start to take that dirt, unwind, and go back and see where you abandoned the fact that you wanted to be X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, because at some point you was on a mission. Like nobody grew up, you know, not wanting to be anything.
Yeah.
At some point, everybody wanted to be something.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. What happened?
You know what I mean?
Right.
I've wanted to be like 10 things the last 10 years.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
I graduated high school. I wanted to be. I was like, you know what? I'm going to the Olympics. Or I'm going to play pro football. When I got to college, I was like, you know what? These dudes ain't that big. They don't hit that hard. And then that went. And then I wanted to be a rapper. Then I was a rapper, producer. Then I've been all these things. And I still do all of them things, but now I'm an on-air radio personality.
Let's go. Back to your story, your book. When I read your book, when did you drop it? Like 2011? Yeah, around there. Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called God Was Holding My Hand. You know, what happened was I had a cyst on my spinal cord. So imagine I was this elite athlete. I broke my ankle in college. And I
was gonna ask you all that. So go ahead.
I broke my ankle in college, and so like 7 years after I graduated, I woke up one morning and that ankle was sore. You know, and so I'm a warrior. So I didn't go to. I don't like doctors either, to be honest.
I'm with you. I don't like.
So you know, so when it was sore, what I did is I just curtailed my workouts around the soreness, and I'm talking about I totally ignored this ankle for years. Long enough to the point.
So this pain was years.
It was years.
Wow.
You know, it's discomfort. Discomfort. And so one day I remember walking into my job, and my coworker looks at me and she says, "What happened to your leg?" So when she said that to me, I realized that it had gotten so bad that now I'm walking funny. You know, so I went to an orthopedic surgeon. They did X-rays and they found nothing in there. And he sent me out of his office telling me, "Yo, listen, I can't tell you what it is." And it progressively got bad. And then one day I'll never forget, I was sitting down to get dressed, and I got a mirror in front of where I get dressed, and I looked at my legs and they were atrophied. Now I'm a gym rat, so you know the last thing that should happen is for my legs to go the opposite way.
Wow.
And so you know, I went to a specialist, a podiatrist. Now come on, you know they usually deal with the toenails. You know what I'm saying? But I was desperate, you know, and I went to the podiatrist, and you know when I went to his office, I walked in, and just by my gait, he was able to say to me, "Yo, listen, it's not your ankle, it's your back." And he sent me from his office to a neurologist's office, and within 3 weeks they found that I had a cyst on my spinal cord. And the reason why the limp got progressively worse is that the cyst was cutting off the spinal fluid from going to my legs. So it was killing the nerves. You know, and that podiatrist told me if I would have came in a month or so later, I wouldn't have been walking in. I would have been wheeled in a wheelchair because that the nerves were dying to the point where I would have got up to get out of my bed, and I would have collapsed and just been paralyzed. So they went in and they removed the cyst, but with nerve damage, nerves don't rejuvenate themselves. So the damage is permanent. But the great thing is it's not strength. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know, a lot of it's my business, but every once in a while I throw a photo up when I'm flexing.
I was going to ask you. That was going to lead up to my next question because a lot of people in your situation would have gave up. You still go at the gym. You still lifting.
I'm a beast.
And what keeps motivating you for doing that? Because like I said, people would give up easy.
You know, okay, there's a few things. Part of it is vanity. I'm not gonna even lie to you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, being an athlete, I never wanted to be that guy that you could eventually look on Facebook and be like, "Oh, you remember him in high school? He was the star football player, but he's fat and out of shape." So I never wanted to be that dude. You know, and then I bodybuild. Once I had stopped football, I started to compete.
I seen that. So, I seen young pictures of you, man.
You know, so it was in my blood. So, you know, working out to me is my therapy. You know, I take my program to young people to allow them to get their stuff off, but you know, I don't have my own group. So I go into the gym and that's my release. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely my release. So, but it's nothing with strength. So the reason why, you know, I can squat, I can walk on a treadmill, on an elliptical, but just, you know, the nerves that I have, the damage, you know, it's not irreversible.
But I love how that doesn't stop your life.
They don't stop nothing. I was gonna say, you out here still pushing.
That's very motivating.
I love it.
That's amazing. So going back to, I just had this thought in my mind about just the school system and kind of like what Cash was asking. I feel like there's a lot of budget cuts happening in a lot of school systems. And I feel like the first programs to go are things like that, or like music, art, So what is your take on that, or just how do you feel about that?
The outlets. Why are you taking outlets?
Because they take the outlets because their thought process is just like those teachers that are mad that I'm taking the students out. What happens is unfortunately, the people that make very important decisions are ones that are not in the trenches.
Right.
So when you got an administrator that's detached from what's really going on, they make a judgment call on their position rather than the reality of what really is going on. So, you know, with the budget cuts, I'll tell you, I've learned being a nonprofit that you know, it's all about the money. But sometimes it's not even the fact that, you know, they when they do budget cuts, these people are hurt.
Yeah.
So it's not like a school when they you know, sometimes it looks like they just kind of went in and they just cleared the, you know, cleared it, but no, they, you know, they fight to try to keep programs. You know, and what I try to do is I try to make sure that we continue to be successful and have an impact, so that when they start going down that list and they get to Power of Peace, they'd be like, you know what, this is something that's you know, we got to keep it. I'm saying we got to keep it. So you know, I've been fortunate. I think in the last few years I haven't gotten, you know, cut because of budgets.
Yes.
But you know, we again, it's a struggle, and you know, we write grants, and you know what happens, because you know, right now it's me and my brother that does it. My brother retired. He worked as an electrician and moved up, and he was running a electrician company, but he just retired, and so he now works with me, but it's just us.
Yeah.
And so when you write a grant and people see that it's just me, you know, the optics doesn't look good. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, they look at it and almost think like I'm a mom and a pop shop, but they don't realize that, you know, my stuff is for real. I got a curriculum. You know, this is.
And you have a good resume too.
Yeah. You know, I'm not just. I don't just bring a suitcase in the room and just pull tricks out of a hat. But when they see this one man show, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's.
They can't believe it.
No, they can't. They really can't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So.
One last question before we let you go. I remember one thing in your book. You were talking about giving back because you grew up with basically nothing.
Right.
And I remember reading, I forgot one of the chapters where you were like, somebody comes up to you, you just randomly pull out cash out your wallet and just help people out. Like, that's who you are now. So talk about that, because some people, they don't like to do that. They don't like to help.
Right.
But you come from humble beginnings and you help.
You know, it's you know, I became a Christian. One of my good friends was getting married, and so he and his wife got baptized before they got married. I thought it was the most precious thing, you know. And so I'm at his baptism, man, and when they dipped him into the water, it was like I went down with him. And so when he came up out of the water, you know, I used to wear crazy jewelry, and I walked out of the church, I took all my jewels off, you know. I started listening to evangelists on tapes, watching on TV, and so it started to transform my life. Now, I say that because, you know, when I look at the word, you know, I like to be a real Christian. I'm not, you know, I'm saying all this, I'm not perfect.
Oh, yeah, none of us
are. I'm not perfect, but I say that because that's the part of the Christian walk. I get that part. One quick thing, not only on the giving, you know, people have said to me, you know, so do you ever complain about having an injury? And you know, I never complain. Again, because I understand the word. So with the blessing part, you know, I feel like this. I read a book, and it talked about how the guy kind of saw like a bum on the street, and he was begging for money, and he didn't give it to him. And then when he got to heaven, he found out that was God.
Wow.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And so, you know, not that I live in fear, but the last thing I ever want to happen is to have somebody come and ask me for something. And I said no, because I know what God has given me. Not only that, is I'm the type of dude that I like to bless somebody, like I like to see their face. So I give big, sometimes for the response, not because I want to feel good about myself. You know what I'm saying? I give big because, you know, like again, I'm telling you this not to brag, but it's what I do. Like when I stay in hotels, I take care of the housekeepers. And sometimes I wish I could be on the wall, fly on the wall. When they come in and they open up the envelope that I leave. But I do that because, you know, I was them. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, when you don't forget where you come from, you know what I'm saying, then you don't have to worry about the fact that, you know, you don't fall too far if it goes that way, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, as far as blessing others, you know, it's about the fact that I just like to live godly, and I think when I bless heavy, I'm following the steps of the God that I believe in.
Amen to that.
Yes.
I agree with you. That's like me the other day. Me and my wife went out to eat, and there was a homeless man asking me for change, and I feel bad, bro, when I see homeless people, bro. Especially in the city. I feel so bad.
I've emptying my pockets for these guys, yo. Everybody else like, oh, they're just gonna buy drugs with it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care what he's gonna do with it.
See,
he need it right now.
Yeah.
I hope he does it. I hope he buys a bagel or a roll with it.
Right.
But hey, whatever you want to do with it. That's not for me to even, you know, decide, interpret, or anything. I feel like if the man's asking me for money, I'm gonna trust that he said he got a sign saying need money for food. Say no more, fam. That's all you need from me. And I don't have money like that.
What's your take?
You know what I do with that is I had to come to a place because I give to him and then I pray when I give it to him.
Nice.
So I give it to him and I pray that he does the right thing with it. And then you can't worry about it after that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
The blood's basically off your hand at that point.
That's it. You know, so you hope that he takes it and does the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you know, that's how I make the correction with giving to the homeless.
Amen.
Nice, I like that. Once again, people, Michael Arterberry.
Yes. Do you have any
beautiful
website?
Yes.
Yeah, give your website.
All right.
Social media and all that.
So Instagram is CT Thunder.
Yes.
CT Thunder is my Instagram.
He benches 700 pounds.
My website for the nonprofit is youthvoicescenter.org. Okay. Then for my public speaking, it's michaelarterberry.com.
Nice.
Yeah, michaelarterberry.com. So
and I'll put all that down in the description in YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Do you have any speaking engagements coming up or anything?
No, I'm trying to
happening?
put something together. There's a small college in the Bronx. We just had a woman that came on to our board. But you know what I've been doing lately is I do a talk called Building Character, Walking the Life of a Champion. And so I've been doing that in schools. So, you know, when a school can't afford to actually bring me in as a program, I'm able to come in and do an assembly to kind of get them the same message.
Right.
Nice.
That's cool.
I like that. Once again, thank you for coming, brother. You blessed us.
Yes.
Very
Thank you
motivating
for
story.
having me.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for
That was
Yes,
great.
sir. Long
That
time
was great.
coming.
Yes, very encouraging. I feel
Seriously, man.
Yes.
That's a great program you got going.
And that's my tag.
Yes.
Be encouraged is what I, you know, real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
If you and Facebook is under my name, Michael Arterberry.
Okay.
But what I do is I study daily, and then I put out my own little devotional.
Oh, okay.
I put it on my Instagram page. I put it on my Facebook page. And my tag is Be Encouraged.
Nice.
I like that.
Yes.
Once again, it's the We Break Silence Show. E.charlez, Pamela Rosario, Cash Walk, and Vanya. We'll be back next week, same time, same place.
Yep.
Follow us on all social media platforms at New Villa Radio. Twitter. There's some stuff going on Twitter, but I
Twitter
will.
is trying to shut us down.
Oh, for real?
Not shut us down, but Twitter's
it's
just
something that I did by mistake.
Oh, we talking about that out there.
Yeah.
Twitter's playing.
We'll be on Twitter soon. We on there. We in Twitter jail right now.
Twitter
Oh, man.
Can you bail us out, Michael Arterberry? Reach in your wallet.
Put in the word, man.
Well, we'll see you guys next week, man.
All right, y'all.
Yes, have a
Later.
good night.
Have a good night.
This is New Villa Entertainment.